All right, everybody, get ready, because today we are going to sound really smart
Yeah,
at our next tech meeting, right? This is
absolutely.
going to be good stuff. We're going deep
Deep dive. Yeah.
today on ASLR,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Address Space Layout Randomization.
Very important.
Now, this is a security technique
It is.
that is protecting our systems
Yes.
from all those nasty cyber attacks.
Keeps us safe.
So think about it this way. You've got this hacker.
Uh-oh.
They're trying to break into your system.
Bad hacker.
They're looking for any vulnerabilities they can find, right?
Right.
Any weak points.
Got to find those vulnerabilities.
But ASLR is like this scrambling of your computer's defenses.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's like they're trying to find the door to get into your house.
Yeah,
But you've randomized where all the doors and windows are.
exactly. Like rearranging the whole house every time they come back.
Exactly. So it makes it so much harder to get in.
Much harder.
Okay, so that's the high level. I'm interested to unpack this now a little bit more.
Yeah.
So what exactly is ASLR doing?
So what it does is every time a program runs, it randomizes the memory addresses of key components of that program. So
Oh.
things like the stack, the heap, and the libraries.
Okay, so just to interrupt you there.
Sure.
We've got the stack, the heap, and libraries. What are those? I mean, I know we've got a lot of techie people listening, but just as a quick reminder.
Yeah, so those are all different areas of memory that a program uses when it's running.
Okay.
So the stack is used for like short-term data storage, like function calls and local variables.
Got it.
The heap is used for dynamic memory allocation. So when a program needs to grab a chunk of memory, it goes to the heap.
Okay.
And libraries, those are pre-written chunks of code that provide common functionality, so programs don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Okay, that's a good reminder. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so ASLR is randomizing the addresses of all of these things every time a program starts.
Every single time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of like shuffling a deck of cards.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, so the position of each card changes every time you shuffle, and it's the same thing with the memory addresses.
So the attacker is trying to find the Queen of Hearts,
Exactly.
but it's in a different spot every time they look.
Every single time.
Okay, so that makes it very difficult to predict where things are.
It makes it extremely difficult, and that's the whole point.
Right, because if a hacker can predict where things are, they can take advantage of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's say there's a vulnerability in a program called a buffer overflow. Without ASLR, an attacker could know exactly where that vulnerability is in memory and use it to inject their own malicious code.
Okay.
But with ASLR, the location of that vulnerability is constantly changing.
Right, so they can't exploit it as easily.
Exactly. It throws a huge wrench in their plans.
Got it. So it's kind of like a thief trying to break into a house.
Yeah,
But the layout of the house keeps changing every day.
that's a great analogy.
So they can't plan their attack effectively.
They never know what to expect.
They can't case the joint.
Exactly. They can't case the joint.
Okay, so I think that's a really good explanation of why ASLR is so important.
Yeah, it's one of the fundamental defenses we have.
Yeah, but as we know, hackers are clever people.
Very clever.
They're always coming up with new ways to attack our systems. So is it even possible to stay ahead of them?
It's a constant arms race.
Right.
It's like a game of cat and mouse.
So what are they doing to get around ASLR?
Well, they're always looking for new vulnerabilities.
Right.
And sometimes they find ways to bypass ASLR altogether.
Oh.
Yeah, there are a few techniques they use. One is to exploit vulnerabilities in other parts of the system to leak memory addresses.
Ah, so they find a way to get a peek at the map.
Exactly. They try to get a blueprint of where everything is.
Big
And
point.
once they have that, they can start to target specific areas.
So that sounds like it makes things pretty difficult.
It definitely makes things more challenging, but security researchers are always working on ways to improve ASLR and make it more robust.
Okay, so what are they doing?
Well, one approach is to increase the entropy or randomness of the address space layout.
So make it even more random.
Exactly. The more random it is, the harder it is to predict.
Right.
They also combine ASLR with other security measures like data execution prevention or DEP,
Yeah, okay.
and that prevents code from running in certain memory regions.
Okay.
So even if an attacker does manage to figure out a memory address, they can't just execute their code there.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, so it sounds like even though ASLR is not foolproof,
No security measure is.
right, it's still a critical part of a layered security approach.
Absolutely. It's like having multiple locks on your door.
Yeah.
One lock might be picked, but with multiple locks, it's much harder to get in.
Okay, so for our listeners out there that want to impress their friends at that next tech meeting,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway that they should remember about ASLR?
That ASLR is constantly randomizing the layout of your system's memory,
Right.
and that makes it way harder for attackers to exploit vulnerabilities.
Awesome. And hey, it's a good reminder that this whole field of cybersecurity, it's this cat and mouse game between attackers and defenders.
It's always evolving.
Exactly. So we've got to stay on our toes. We've got to keep learning.
Absolutely.
And make sure our systems are protected. That's it for today.
Great deep dive.
Until next time, stay curious.
And stay safe.
And keep those hackers guessing.
Definitely.
All right, everybody, we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See ya.